Welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Kalpis. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. You are here with Chris Howell. Chris, coming from Jupiter, Florida. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're coming from. I see you're a ex-lacrosse player.
Yeah,
I'm
of
I'm sure you're familiar with where we're at. We're in Maryland, right outside of Annapolis, Maryland. We're sort
course.
of sort of a big deal in the lacrosse world. Where are you originally from? I can't imagine you are a lacrosse player from Florida.
No, I grew up in Pennsylvania, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And then I ended up staying up northeast and obviously Long Island, and
I'm
I
from
ended
Long
up
Island, so
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was like a huge culture shock for me when I got out there. That was like, oh, lacrosse is king out there. So yeah, and then I ended up playing at Hofstra University, and so yeah, all the hotbeds and everything there. So
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When people say they were like lacrosse players, I was like, okay, so you're from Long Island. Did you play in Long Island? Or did you play in Maryland? Because those are the two places
yeah,
that matter in the lacrosse world.
exactly. Now it's getting pretty big though. I mean, from
Hmm.
California, and then I mean, there's teams down in Florida here, and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's good to see it growing.
Yeah, I imagine we're close to the same age though. When I was growing up, it was not very big. You would go to
That
Denver, you'd see lacrosse, they should see lacrosse stick and they'd be like, what the hell is this?
exactly. You knew right where they're from if they were going to be good or not. That
Yeah.
was that was also indicative. But yeah, now you can't say the same. So it's good
Yes.
though.
Um, so tell us a little about where you're now talking on a business podcast. You started as a lacrosse player.
Yeah.
What happened in between there? I see you own some gyms, you built some gyms out.
Yeah, so I graduated from Hofstra. Wolf of Wall Street just came out, so I was like, you know what? Let me go try Wall Street. Uh, I did. I was a trader at an investment bank for about 3 years. Realized it really wasn't like the Wolf of Wall Street movie. Decided it kind of really wasn't for me, so I left that and became a personal trainer. And then I did some cold calling, tech sales from like 9 to 5. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be involved in this. Like what I saw was like this like growing health and wellness category. Um, so right after that, I was just kind of hustling around, and I had an opportunity to work on this like group fitness concept for this hospitality brand called Soho House. And they wanted to do a group fitness concept for all their houses nationally, internationally. And so I was working on that. And as I was working on that, I get a call from the architect, and he's like, "Hey, what are like the best treadmills out in the market?" I go home and create a little PowerPoint slide, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, here you go." And he goes, "Oh, this is great. Can you do the same thing for dumbbells?" And I kind of fell in love with that process. So I worked with this architect on like their gym designs and their wellness designs for everything from equipment, concept to programming, how to run the space for about 3 years. And during that time, I created this company I started now or started then called SPX, and we have been around for almost 8 years now. And we do gym and wellness designs for high-end residential and commercial spaces. So everything from high-end private homes to hotels, multifamilies, commercial gyms, things like that.
Nice. That's interesting. It's funny you're because of our last episode, our the guy was a franchiser. He buys franchises and he's into wellness, but he's not long on gyms.
Mm,
He's like big on like the biohacking thing we talked about. I go to a med spa, I get, in nutrient injections and stuff like that. And he's long on that kind of stuff, but short on physical gym spaces. So it's interesting, like
interesting.
literally 30 minutes ago, we were talking about he was being short on gyms and now you're building gyms. So It's
But I think
interesting.
are you more so doing personalized gyms for homeowners? Is that kind of more of where your business model falls into?
Our business focuses on 60% being commercial spaces, 40% being residential, and we are taking clients from concept being, here's a gym amenity for a hotel, or here's my house I'm building and I want a gym, and we help that concept, the layout, the 3D renderings, the equipment list, the budgeting, all of that, the procurement and install. And then for the commercial side, we have like additional services as far as like taking it steps further. But in general, yeah, we're doing both.
So like a 100 unit, luxury apartment building would call you and say, "Hey, we have this, 2,000 square foot space. What should we do with
Exactly.
it?"
Exactly. And then it would be like, what's the demographic? Even like what floor is it going to be on? If there's going to be residences around, we have to think about how we're going to do that. But yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly
yeah,
that.
that's I mean that's a little different than because the guy in our previous episode, he was more so against being long on gyms that sell, I guess just gyms in general, like owning gyms and having the membership because of how
Quick,
people,
the cycle.
yeah, quick people will stop going. Whereas what you're doing, like people are going to always have that thought of fitness. So like whenever someone builds a 100 unit apartment building, they're going to need a gym in it. They're going to want a gym in it, and they're going to
Yeah.
hire someone like you to fulfill that need.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super interesting about that last person. I would love to talk to them a little bit more, but on what their thoughts were and things like that, because
I'll connect you guys
uh,
actually. It's an interesting
yeah, it'd
concept.
be
I'll connect you
interesting.
guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
so I'm a big fitness guy. I'm training for an Ironman right now, so that's
right.
a good topic that we could talk about, and I guess I'm going to say the same thing that I said on the last episode, and maybe you can give me a different answer because Nick didn't give me a better answer. Maybe it's my algorithm, but do you feel like people now more than ever are getting into fitness or like trying to better themselves in that way? Now I just feel like I see it more. I see people like quit drinking, eating healthier, just in general. Do you feel that way? And you being in the space?
Yeah, what's funny is your algorithm is probably the same as my algorithm. So no, but in all seriousness, yeah, I think that I think during 2016 to pre-COVID, you found a huge um, rise in group fitness as far as Soul Cycle, Barry's Boot Camp, F45. And there was a bit of a bubble there, like at least in the tier one cities, like there's not that much excitement or hype around group fitness as there once was, where you're paying 50, 60, $70 to go to a class, get a smoothie afterwards at Barry's Boot Camp, or like renting gloves at Rumble Boxing. And you look at that customer and they're spending a lot of money during COVID. I think there was two things that happened. One, that shift of discretionary income being spent on group fitness kind of started to have a little bit of reality check, and then this concern of health. I think nobody cares more about health than they do right now, especially having after COVID. Um, One where if you were just extremely unhealthy, then obviously that it doesn't even have to be COVID. Illnesses become very like more deadly and serious to you. So I think there that kind of was a little bit of a catalyst for it. I also think that moving from COVID, where you're not like engaging with people, you're seeing this like huge resurgence of retreats, wellness retreats, more participation in events like triathlons, marathons, high rocks. I think
Yeah.
people are really after this communal effect, and part of that is it's dictating how they're living the rest of their lives. As far as like, I'm not going to, when we go meet up with a friend, it's going to be more for a lunch or a coffee versus the bar and for drinks, or
Yeah.
maybe it's drinks but it's mocktails, or maybe it's like, I'm not going to drink but like let's get a great steak. Right, it
Yeah.
starts to make more sense now, aligning with what people are finding a little bit more purpose in. So
Yeah.
and along that is the evolvement of wellness in general, as far as like recovery for those events and things like that. It's just it's becoming a huge lifestyle change versus an hour at the gym.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm all about the like I have a red light room. I have all this stuff now that I do. I'll have to show you that, Nick. I have a red light machine in my room, one of my extra rooms upstairs, and
Nice.
it you lay on it and it's just like it's for recovery and all this stuff. And the more you do all this stuff, the more you hear about all the benefits that it gives. And I'm trying to do every little thing to get my recovery so I can keep up with the training that I'm doing. And the more people that I talk to, because I did stop drinking this year, not completely, like it wasn't, I tell people like it wasn't court ordered or anything, but um, I did it for my health. And so I can't train when I'm hungover and I got to run tomorrow. I got a bike today. You just, the more people I talk to, like we went down to Cabo. I maybe had like two or three drinks, the
Like
whole
five or
Yeah.
six.
5 or 6,
Yeah.
the whole time we were there. But normally I'd have 5 or 6 each night,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the more people that I talk to that are, getting into their health, that's a very common thing. I think, people are doing like I have a Wednesday run club where people come and they come
Yes.
run with us, and that it's becoming a thing. And people are like, oh, can I come to run club? Like that was never a thing. It was always like, let's go to happy hour. And that I think that has changed a little bit and behaviorally. So I think COVID had a lot to do with it as well.
How do you feel? How do you feel that you've significantly decreased your
Uh,
alcohol consumption?
So much better. And it wasn't like I said, like I wasn't a huge drinker, but like, you go out for like a happy hour on a Thursday and you wake up Friday and I'm not gonna hit the same workout that I did if I wasn't drinking. And
Right.
we host these meetups, these networking meetups. We have a couple hundred people that
Mhm.
come. We're real estate investors by trade, so that's what we do. We bring real estate investors together, people, listeners from the show. We rent down a place, a restaurant, and we bring people together. And everybody just tries to buy me drinks the whole time. So I ended up getting like the last time I got a non-alcoholic beer just to have something in my hand to so people
Yeah.
wouldn't keep trying to buy me drinks. But the more people even there that I talked to that were like, yeah, I'm trying not to drink, or I'm only trying to have one or this, that. I think that's a trend that is trending in the right direction. Nick's not in the same algorithm. He may look great, but he's not in that same algorithm. So he doesn't feel the same way that I do about more people getting into this fitness thing. But I'm pushing not only like friends, but employees and stuff to go get your levels checked. They have these med spas now that are concierge doctors. They're not insurance based. They will actually spend the
Yes.
time with you to go over really, really minute things that the insurance companies don't give the doctors time for.
Hmm.
And I think that's a
Hmm.
huge thing. Like when I was just in Miami before the race, we went to a med place and got like a B12 shot. And when we typed it in, they're all over. You go to Brickell, you can't walk
Yeah.
10, you can't walk 100 yards without seeing a med spa or some sort of, aesthetic type facility. I think that's a huge
100%.
thing. So,
100%.
so when somebody calls you, what are some of the questions you ask to before you're going to build a gym? Like if I was going to build a personal gym at my house, what are some
Yeah.
questions you're going to ask me?
Definitely. One would be, where is it going to be in your house? So typically is, it's either like a detached uh, garage type thing, garage, basement, um, an unused area of the house. And then once we kind of figure out where that's going to be, then we'll talk about the ceiling height. Ceiling height dictates pretty much what you're trying to do in there. So, we've dealt with ceiling heights that are like below 8 feet, which is everything ends up being super custom or very limited as far as like what they're able to do. Then finally, then we start talking about like who are the users and then how do they like to train. Um, so I would say like right now we're working with a client that's he's has a professional football player, and so he's got his mindset of what he's at, and then his girlfriend is kind of like, well, I just want my Peloton, and I want this and that, and so we're kind of creating this scenario, this environment that this guy can come in and do his serious workouts, but has everything that she wants there as well. sometimes there's like large families with like, uh, sons like our age where we're coming in, we're like, hey, we're trying to throw some weight around, do our thing. So we have to kind of design these gyms for like who those users are. And then finally, sometimes there's like trainers that are coming over to train that homeowner or homeowners or something like that. So that's kind of where we kick off our discovery before we start jumping into certain equipment and layout options.
What kind of marketing do you do to get those homeowners? I know you said you do about 40% homeowner gym builds.
Yeah.
What kind of marketing do you do to get those customers and clients?
Yeah, good question.
It's a great question. I'm laughing because I think out of the 8 years, I've only changed this in the past 6 months. So it was all referrals. I kind of just sat on my heels and just kind of like waited for people to text me or email. And then about 6 months ago, I just got so frustrated that I was relying on this referral network. So I just started marketing across Instagram and LinkedIn, and then like a newsletter as well once a week. But I really started to post on Instagram like daily, post on LinkedIn pretty much daily or every other day. Um, I would say the engagement, that was probably the most traumatizing thing because I would wait for the design shot, the aesthetic. I'm like, that's going to hit. And then you're like telling yourself, oh, it's going to go viral and this and that. And then it doesn't. Uh, where there were days where I would like post an Instagram picture or something and I would get like one comment. And that was like, oh man, I'm not doing this anymore. But I really had a mindset shift where I'm just going to post every single day for 90 days and see what happens. And then I added LinkedIn to that. And then I added this newsletter. Then I created a little bit of a flywheel with like case studies that I was making for my website as well. So I created this funnel that I was every single day that I was doing. And even though I wasn't getting direct engagement, I was seeing things happening around my orbit where people were referring me more. I would get more inquiries. I would be doing way more sales calls, whether they were qualified or not. They were still sales calls. But yeah, in general, that's been a bigger shift. But up until then, it's all been referral, like a referral network.
And how you mentioned qualify. How do you qualify them when they reach out to you?
Yeah, we are a very niche firm. So not only are we doing gym designs, we're really doing higher end gym designs. So um, qualifying would be someone that's probably going to, for a home is probably going to spend anywhere, you know, 40,000 plus on a 20 by 20 foot place. So like a 2 car garage would be
Yeah.
something like that. So they're really not in that ballpark. They're probably not going to be the best fit for us because we are looking to do interior design as well
And you can do everything
for them.
virtually, right? So you can have customers,
Yeah,
all across the United States or anywhere, I guess, for that matter.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, we're doing a project in Italy right now for a hotel, which would be pretty amazing. But yeah, so that one we fly out because it's like a three year project. We'll fly out uh, twice a year. But
But do you
other than
guys do
that,
the build too, or just the design and they order the equipment needed to put it in there?
we're going to be doing very turnkey. So we're going to go in like from the ground floor when they are building, mainly to help with the technical specifications for needed. And we'll kind of talk. Well, this is fair for residential too. So if they want a certain, if they're a triathlete or some type of ultra marathoner, they might want a treadmill that has more power output. So that's going to need to be on a dedicated circuit on 15 amps. So like that needs to be either trenched to a certain location. So we need to get in there and do the layout from a technical perspective to get those power pulled for saunas and things like that, ventilation, um, things like that. And then we'll do all the design portion, the equipment. We'll do the procurement, and then we'll warehouse it. And then whenever the rest of the FF&E or the interior design people are that we're collaborating with or we're doing it, whenever that install happens, we'll deliver all the equipment as well and install it. And that'll be like a 1 to 3 day process depending on the square footage.
So where do most of the commercial gym equipment, where do they come from? Is that like a specific place in the US that has to be shipped to any destination that somebody's looking to have a gym built?
You're saying the actual equipment?
Yeah.
It varies on the vendor that we'll select. Um, it would be similar to a lot of people make couches, but some people want restoration hardware couches, and some people want Bob's Discount furniture type of couches. So we try to figure out, there might be a designer that's like, hey, we want this like wood, natural tans, all this stuff. So we actually found we have a group we work with in the UK named Watson, and we have them make Italian Bentley stitched leather benches and upholstery for their gym equipment. So it's like pretty amazing stuff. So it just depends on where we're selecting the equipment, what's the best fit for that client. And yeah, we'll source from all over the place.
It's funny you said about the posting thing because when I started training for my triathlons, I I own a home remodeling construction company, real estate investing, all those kind of vertically integrated businesses. I started posting my trainings, just like my Strava workouts, me just like being in like dying after running a couple miles or whatever, and posting what I was doing, and I never had more engagement. And I would post. So before that, let me predate that. I would post like a kitchen I just did, and I'd have like
Yeah.
an X engagement, right? And then I posted a video, like a selfie video of me like sweating after a 5 mile run or something, and basically like just get after it kind of thing, like a Nick Bear kind of like
Yeah.
motivational thing, and I would get 10x what I would get for
Yeah.
that stupid fucking kitchen that I just built. That I was like, that's where I make all my money, and like I want people to see. But then I posted a video of me just talking, and then my Strava screenshot of the run that I just did,
Hmm.
and people are hitting me up like, "Hey man, love seeing you getting after it. I've been trying to get started on my health, blah blah blah. Oh,
Hmm.
and my uncle needs a kitchen." Or I just did a deck, or I'm in the process of building a big deck for somebody. He probably listens to the show. A big time, a real estate investor from our network. He hit me up because he saw I was training for Ironmans. He's doing or just did an ultra marathon, and now I'm
Right.
doing. Probably this month I'll probably do $100,000 for him, and just in
Amazing.
revenue. And that came from a conversation that we had. About fitness. But we happen to be in
Mm.
the same network. And the only reason he hit me up, not because I own a construction company, is because I posted about my fitness journey, about my triathlons, about my ultra endurance stuff. And now I'm doing six figures for him probably this month. I got all of that through a post of me just talking about running or biking or swimming or whatever I was doing, lifting, whatever I was doing at that time. So the
That's amazing.
posting, it definitely it definitely helps, but it's so funny how it worked that I was posting business stuff, and the whole time I was getting barely any engagement, and then I start posting about something that's nothing to do with my business at all, and I'm getting hundreds and thousands. Some of them get like one of them like went and had like 600,000 views, and I was like,
Whoa.
holy crap! Like I'm not a fitness guy. Like I'm a fitness guy for myself, but I'm not in the fitness business. But now I post 90% of my posts are all fitness posts, and it basically feeds me more business for my other businesses, and I'm not even posting
It's
about those.
amazing.
So it's a funny dichotomy of like I was just posting the wrong thing. I was posting
Yeah.
what I thought was important. The stuff that I'm
Yeah.
actually doing is not important. It's the fitness stuff. So it's funny how that works. So you definitely saw an increase in your business and engagement from your posting every day.
Yeah, definitely. I also think it's like I'm super passionate about what I do. Like I do this even if I like won the lottery or something where I don't need to do it. I love what I do. So I hope, and I think it translates the way I talk about projects or clients or things. It's easy for me to creatively think about it versus using the finance that I came from. I wasn't like on Saturday reading a P&L report of a stock, or I wasn't interested on the interest rates or things like that that other people that were great traders that would want to do. But what I will do on Saturday is, consider the grip on a dumbbell and if that's efficient or if it could be better. So I do think, I hope that, and I think it does translate a little bit more than if someone kind of just posting to post. But maybe that was my first thought, is that people like they're seeing you film yourself, you're talking to the camera about a workout you just accomplished. Like people want to be a part of that positive journey, right? So
Yeah.
whether it's enthusiasm or passion for your work or your hobbies, I think it's a great way to first step in building an audience is to just double down on what you like, and then, like you said, like the market told you what they wanted. They wanted
Yeah.
more of the fitness content, so it's good on you for noticing that.
Yeah. It's funny. Are you a fan of Nick Barr? Do you know him at all? The BPN guy?
Yeah, I've connected with him about possibly I think when before he moved back to Austin, we connected about doing a gym in Nashville, but don't know if it happened like that. But yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. My buddy's doing High Rocks this weekend down there, and that they're all about that High Rock stuff. They're trying to get me to do the DC High Rocks that's coming up this way next year, but I've never been
You
into
should.
the CrossFit type stuff. I like lifting, and then I like endurance stuff, and I haven't mixed them together. Um, that it's an interesting. Have you heard about this High Rocks thing?
No, no, I haven't.
So it's basically, and Chris, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a mix of lifting and cardio. So you run like a kilometer, and then you do a certain workout, and then you run another kilometer and you do a certain workout. I don't really know how they score it. Is it a race? I guess it's a race.
Yeah, it's pretty much a race and time based. And you're doing like sled pushes, rope pulls, wall balls like that. And then yeah, you're running basically. So the idea is that it's um so like a little bit more. I'd be careful. These people are crazy about it, but I feel like it's, if you're going to go do CrossFit, there's Olympic lifts that are involved, which are way more technical. It takes more time. I think there's a little bit lower barrier to entry to High Rocks. Not to say it's easier by any means. It's definitely hard, and people grind it out. But I think that it's a little bit more community driven. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
on fire, that event right now.
Yeah. I think it
So.
started in the UK or somewhere over there in Europe, and now it's slowly leaking over here. But
Yeah, and yeah, you have everybody's getting involved involved in it. So I saw Nick Bear he's going to do it, right? So,
yeah, yeah. That's why I
but
brought it up when you said High Rocks, and I'm a fan of his stuff. I actually use BPN, a lot of their pre-workout, post-workout, that kind of stuff.
oh, awesome.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that world, that like ultra endurance world is something that I never really thought of until I started training. I was like, like when I first started, my buddy like basically made me sign up for a triathlon, and I was like, who the fuck does triathlons? Like I didn't know, I couldn't name anybody that did them. And then I went to my first race, and there's 3,000 people there doing this race, and I'm like, holy shit, this is like a real. It was actually in St. Pete. I have a place in Tampa that I stay. I do a lot
Hmm.
of my winters down there, and he was like, "You're going to be down here for the winter, like train with us. We'll do this triathlon." Now thousands of people are doing it. Now all I see is triathlon stuff, obviously because of the algorithms, the way that they are. But there's so much in that world of like fitness, endurance, and stuff that people don't even realize. Like there's millions of people that do this stuff. There's an Ironman race almost every single weekend of the year somewhere in the world.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's interesting.
If you go to Ironman, like the website, and you look at there's one or two races a weekend every single year somewhere in the world. I'm going to a wedding in the Philippines in July, and somehow, and I was just looking, there's an Ironman race, a shorter distance, like half Ironman race in the Philippines the weekend that I'm there, and I'm like with my wife, like trying to figure out. She's like, absolutely not. We're not carrying your bike across to the
Yeah,
Philippines. Like,
yeah,
I have an assistant in the Philippines, and I'm like, please figure out if I can rent a bike in the Philippines. And he's like, there are no high-end road bikes in the Philippines. It's like that's like 3 years salary for us is like one of your bikes. So um
yeah, yeah,
but it is a infectious sport. And I do think that I disagree with our last guest that I am long on fitness. I'm long on just gyms in general. I think we were talking about like the Planet Fitness model of being
yeah.
a gym for people that don't go to the gym. And
Yes.
they have all these gyms that are filled with members that don't actually go. I
Yeah.
think gyms are a great business to be in. I think the only issue with it is like what happened with COVID. They shut down.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
hope that doesn't, I hope we learned something from that, that the gyms were probably the most important places to be open. But
Yeah.
I do think that I think fitness is a thing that's here to stay, and I think people are getting healthier. And even another reason that the other guy, Cliff, who's a really nice guy, we connected, really great interview. That with all the GLP-1 stuff that's out there, that people are starting to just take the biohacking route rather than the true fitness route. But I almost feel that that's like the Kickstarter that is getting
Yeah.
a lot of people started on their journey, and they're seeing results faster, so they're sticking with it more. Do you feel the same way?
Man, so much to unpack in what you said too. A lot of it, I agree with too. I think just in the front end of it is, I don't know if you noticed this before, but as marathon running, half marathons, um, become more saturated, high rocks, I'm finding that there's this echelon that's still pushing the boundaries. There's more and more people that are like trying to separate themselves from like what's normal. Like I find it's like marathon is becoming so normal for people, or that like you're finding way more people going into ultra marathons that
Yeah.
otherwise would never be doing it. And I'm perplexed by that because one, it's you're finding these people going out and doing these harder and harder things, which is pretty amazing. My friend just did about a year ago. He did this marathon is in the Sahara Desert. It was like a 150-mile ultra, and you're like self-sustained, so you have everything
Yeah.
for like it's like it was insane. But if you told him 3 4 years ago he'd be doing that, he'd be like, get out of here, I'm not doing that.
Right.
But it's weird, and then you never hear of anyone doing it. Now I hear all these people doing it. So I find this like people are electing to do harder things within around fitness, and I think it's pretty interesting. But as far as like the gym concept, yeah, the big chain commercial gyms, Planet Fitness is business wise an incredible model. If you think about how they cycle through these towns, right, and they like bank on life events. So you break up with your girlfriend, you're probably going to go back to the gym and re-sign up. You move into a town and you need friends, you're probably going to sign up for a local gym. And if you're not a fitness person, Planet Fitness might be that place. So it's like they're not in this like year one, year two, they're like in a 10-year game. This
Hmm.
community and how many times can they cycle through this community is kind of interesting. But I think for other folks, like a Lifetime and Equinox, they're constantly pushing what's the next luxury experience that they can do. And then you have boutique kind of competing in the same avenue as well. I think the next thing that you're going to see is a little bit more of um, uh, kind of like a 24/7 open gym type of membership club where you can PFOB in, low overhead, low people management, and like very like nice, decent, good equipment. Maybe there's a sauna and cold plunge, and they have 500 members.
Mm.
And I think you're going to attract that high rocks group. You're going to attract these people and have events, and it's going to be a more profitable gym than it was 5 years ago. Um, Being a gym owner is tough.
Yeah.
Being a gym owner is very hard. So if you can manage costs in that way, um, it opens up the doors to being a little bit more lucrative of a model as well. But as far as IGF-1, I agree. I think like um, starting a diet is hard as a fitness, even as a well-conditioned person or a healthy person. Seeing results is even harder when on a diet. If you're 350 pounds and you're on the verge of where you are diabetic at that point, like, and someone says, "Hey, you could take this to get you off the couch so you can move." To me, why not? If
Yeah.
that gives them a chance to go to the gym, they're not going to go to the gym without it.
Yeah.
Or change any lifestyle change, even not even going to the gym, just walking 5,000 steps instead of 3,000 steps would make a huge difference. So I think it gets demonized mainly for the main usage of like beauty and aesthetics. But I think overall, I think could be super helpful for people looking to improve their health. And like you said, to get started. Um,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
that's the hardest thing in the beginning. Not seeing results is really demotivating. So when you can,
Hmm.
and when you take something that you see results quicker, you're gonna lean more into that thing. And I
Yes.
was reading some studies recently, not reading. That's a lie. I don't really read that much. I was was watching a YouTube video rather.
There you
Um,
go. Yeah.
and they were analyzing an article that was written by like somebody that was studying these GLP-1 things, and they were saying that not only are they seeing it increase people's fitness, but and decrease their fat, but they're actually seeing behavioral changes.
Mm.
So people that are on it for like a year, they did like a year study. I think they did a 6 month study, and different time trials basically. And they were saying that they're seeing true behavioral changes, and they were doing it with placebos. So
Mm.
basically, they would give one person that was like overweight and sedentary the actual GLP-1 drug, and then they would give the other person the placebo, so nothing. They would actually change their behavior, thinking that they were on that drug or that receptor. So that's just like, kind of a mind-boggling thing. But I personally think that I'm pro anything that helps somebody get off that couch and get to work
Yes.
and start doing hard things, whether it's a water injection or an actual drug or whatever it is. It's something that's going to help, you know, fitness is if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So I think that's a huge piece. And I'm going to say I'm long on fitness and gyms in general, but I do think that gym model is tough because of the churn. I guess people, churn through memberships a lot, but
Yes.
in the long run, I feel like, there's enough people that are trying to make change that I think, it'll keep that industry going pretty strong.
Yeah, the um high member low use model is tough if you're if you're a mom and pop shop, right? Because funding becomes more of a factor.
Yeah, that's
Like
the
you said,
pricing
if
piece. That's their strategic $10 a month pricing.
yeah,
It's just cheap
so
enough.
so much money behind it that they're just it's to compete in that same realm is very challenging. You
Yeah.
have to have a serious value prop.
I
Um,
did recently see actually it's on the way to my gym. There's a house that has a van outside, and it's a mobile gym that they come and they do like mobile fitness classes at like the local park, or they'll come to your driveway and they'll park this sprinter van, and you open up the side of the sprinter van and there's like cables that are attached to the van.
Very cool.
And it's
Very
literally
cool.
like I think they call it the gym guys or something, and they're mobile, they'll call, like if Nick and I wanted to do a workout right now, we'd call them. They'd come to the driveway and they'd pop open their Sprinter van and they'd have all the equipment right there. And we would get to,
Pretty cool.
each pay a little bit of money and they'd do a workout with you. So that's another cool little model. Maybe you could implement that into your design for businesses. Like, hey, let's build down I've done your basement and your garage. Now let's do your Sprinter van.
Let's see your truck. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
In,
amazing.
Interesting model. Nick, you got anything else for Chris, man?
Chris, I appreciate you coming on. Are you also still a personal trainer now, or did you kind of phase out of that when you started to do the designs?
Shoot. You're coming in with all the good questions that nobody asked, but uh, I am not a personal trainer. I would say that when I played lacrosse at Hofstra, that was like my first exposure to a proper strength conditioning program. So that really was inspiring to me, especially to what I'm doing now. So I had a great 4 years of someone being, that's not correct. This is the right way to do it. So I took that and kind of built on it as a trainer when I left Wall Street. And then as I came into this business today, I still lean on that experience and obviously the college experience. And I have 4 other guys that work with me, and they all have some type of athletic background because I believe that in order to do this, you should know what it's like to train somebody or train yourself for something. Otherwise, I don't know how you would recommend equipment. Otherwise, if you're just a representative for a certain manufacturer, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
I
we
agree
don't
with
we
that.
don't represent we don't represent like one manufacturer. We're representing the correct selection for that client. So we need to know exactly what we're talking about, how it's going to be used, the most efficient way to be using it. And if someone wants to train to get bigger, stronger, faster, skinnier, how can we do that? So everyone on our team has some type of certification, but it's just the experience that really matters to me. I don't really care about the certifications.
Cool.
So how can
Yeah.
if somebody wants to build out their home gym, no matter where they are, how can they get in touch with you? What's your contact website, that kind of thing?
Yeah, our website is spxfit.com, and you can see our work there. You can contact us there, or you can just, if you're more privy to Instagram, it's my name, Chris Howell, Howell, 16, the numbers, and that's me on Instagram. You can see our work there or reach out.
Awesome. Well, Chris, we appreciate your time. I got to get my wife to dinner or I'll get in trouble here in a little bit. I've been on podcast the last couple hours, so we appreciate your time. And if anybody's looking to build out their gym, or we have listeners that are building out multifamily buildings right now. If you're looking to put one
Cool.
in the multifamily space, contact Chris and get working and do some
Yeah,
hard
let's do it.
shit. Do some hard stuff out there.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks, Chris.